Hey there, Unsolved Mysteries fans, back at you with another video. So, this case is going to be, this case is about Doug Johnston. So, this is the details of the case. On May 14th, 1990 at 11 p.m., Doug Johnston left for work at a computer graphics company. An hour later, he was found shot to death in his car. He had been shot behind his left ear from a distance of at least 12 inches. At first, authorities believed that Doug's death was a suicide. However, Doug was right-handed. There was no powder residue on his hands, and most importantly, there was not a gun found at the scene. For unknown reasons, authorities have not determined that his death was either a suicide or a homicide. Doug Johnston had a similar house and drove a similar car to Don Devereaux. Devereaux lives across the street from the parking lot where Doug was killed. Devereaux is a journalist whose work was allegedly a threat to mob figures in Phoenix. Devereaux was also investigating the suspicious death of Charles Morgan. Charles, who worked for an escrow company, had vanished in March of 1977 and later returned to his home claiming that he had been abducted and drugged. Charles had told his wife that he had worked for the federal government and that his abductors had taken his identification. Then in June of 1977, Charles vanished once again. He was found shot to death 11 days later. Ironically, he was wearing a bulletproof vest. Shortly, Charles was found dead. Two men claiming to be government officials went to the Morgan home, ransacked the house, looking for something unknown. Charles's case was aired on Unsolved Mysteries, and after the broadcast, Devereaux followed up on several leads. He learned that Charles Morgan was involved in money laundering related to his escrow company. Devereaux believes that Charles was killed because he knew too much and that he needed to be silenced. In 1991, Devereaux was contacted by a writer from Washington, D.C. named Danny Casolaro. Devereaux agreed to share with Dan the information that he had uncovered about Charlie's money laundering. However, before Devereaux could even mail his research, Dan Casolaro was found dead. Dan was found with his wrist slashed in a hotel bathtub. His death was ruled a suicide, but Devereaux believes that Dan was murdered. 6 months after Dan's death, Devereaux learned from another journalist that there was a hit placed on him, but that Doug Johnston was mistakenly killed as a result. Devereaux also learned that there were apparently other people who wanted them dead. A CIA official and an informant for Israeli intelligence confirmed that death threats to Devereaux. Devereaux is now certain that Doug was mistakenly killed as a result of a botched hit that was meant for him. Doug's murder, along with the deaths of Charles Morgan and Danny Casolaro, remain unsolved. That's basically a bat case. And I can kind of touch back on my favorite case, the Danny Casolaro case, which was the first video that I did for this series. That brings, this whole case right here brings another theory to it, that maybe Danny Casolaro was killed by the same guys who had killed Charles Morgan and Doug Johnston, because maybe they found out that he was communicating with Devereaux somehow, and that's why they killed him. And it just goes to show how much Danny Casolaro was how much investigating within the government and trying to figure out all these leads for the crime that for the crimes that the government was trying to cover up. So it just goes to show what he was researching. He was researching the mob. He was trying to figure out what was going on with Inn's Law, that the Justice Department had sold their computer software to all these different countries. And it goes to show exactly what he was involved in. He was involved with the mob, with the government, with the Inn's Law people. So it just goes to show that he could have very well been killed by these same guys who had killed Johnston and Morgan. So I believe those three cases are connected. They were probably killed by the government. you know, the government's smart. They can make it. They could have made them look like suicides exactly the way they were. So yeah, I think, like I had stated in the previous video, I do think Castellero was murdered. That, you know, that he didn't commit suicide, and you know, it's obvious that Charles Morgan was murdered, and you know, obvious that Doug Johnston was murdered as well, because you know, just by you know, he was right-handed, and there was no gun at the scene, and he was shot behind his left ear, and he wasn't left-handed. So it just, you know, just those things add up to those three guys being murdered. And you know, as for Charles Morgan, you know, he was wearing a bulletproof vest. So you know, if he was going to kill himself, which also, this is what Don Devereaux had stated in the Unsolved Mysteries episode. Like, if he was going to kill himself, why would he wear a bulletproof vest? You know, it doesn't make sense. So, to me, it definitely seems that these three unsolved murders are connected, and you know, probably were done by the same people. And you know, that's also why I wanted to do this case. Was because you know, the three of them seem connected, and you know, as you guys know, Danny Castellero's case is my favorite out of any case I'd seen on Unsolved Mysteries. Well, one of my favorites, I should say. There's a lot of different cases that intrigue me on that show, but you know, Danny Castellero, I'd seen his case. I'd watched the case a dozen times. You know, I always found it interesting. So yeah, you know, that's just my thoughts on this case. I might do a couple more videos later. I'm not sure. I just, you know, I have to figure out what I would want to do. And, you know, I might do some of the cases that were suggested in the comments. I'm, you know, totally not sure yet. I'll have to read up on them first. But yeah, you know what? If you like this video, subscribe for more. Give a like. You know, if you want to comment in the comments, and we can discuss these cases. And, you know, I definitely enjoy talking about it with you guys, hearing your theories on the cases. You know, it's very interesting to hear other people's theories and discuss what may have happened to these guys. So yeah, you know, just thanks. I'm enjoying the feedback and what you guys are giving me. It's awesome. You know, I only got 4 subscribers, but hey, you know, we could keep growing. You know, I'm definitely enjoying doing this series and my others. So yeah, just thanks for that, and well, I guess I'll see you in the next one.